Vanessa's nails tapped against the marble counter. A plate sat untouched in front of her. Across the living room, wrappers and clothes lay scattered like fallen leaves. The curtains drooped with dust. She wrinkled her nose, shifted her sunglasses higher, and reached for her phone. Money wasn't her problem. Michael, her husband, made sure of that. The cars in the compound, the driver waiting outside, the house Michael bought her. They all proved it. But housework. She would rather starve than hold a broom. She scrolled through TikTok, sipping a chilled drink, while Sophie bent over the ironing board at 3 a.m., pressing wrapper after wrapper. Sophie's eyelids fought sleep. "Madam, please," she whispered once. "Keep ironing," Vanessa snapped, without even looking up. By morning, Sophie dragged her small bag to Michael's car. "She doesn't let me sleep, sir. I can't stay." Emily came next. Her crime was yogurt. 1 pack missing. Vanessa's hand shook with rage as she lifted the palm oil bottle and emptied it over Emily's head. The girl bolted, sticky and humiliated, and never returned. Hannah, shy and soft-spoken, lasted longer. Until the day Vanessa caught her using scented soap in the bathroom. Vanessa's voice cracked through the house like glass. "You want to smell like me. You think you're my mate." She shoved Hannah outside and left her locked at the gate for hours, the neighbors whispering as they passed. Each time Michael tried. "Vanessa, please. They're human. Treat them better." She brushed him off with a wave. These girls have no home training. But her voice always sharpened when giving orders. "Wash all the curtains today. Scrub the window edges with a toothbrush. Use lime, not sponge, behind the gas cooker." No maid lasted 3 weeks. And when one left, she crossed her legs, sipped her drink, and scrolled through her phone. "Good maids are hard to find," she muttered. The cycle never stopped. Peace in the first week, shouting in the second, chaos in the third. Then silence. One Thursday afternoon, her WhatsApp pinged. She squinted at the group message. "Reliable housemaid available. Very quiet. 30K per month. Contact below." Her finger hovered. No picture. No last seen. Just the name. Evelyn househelp. Something about it sat wrong in her stomach. Still she dialed. The phone rang once. Someone picked up. "Hello," Vanessa said. Nothing. Only slow breathing. Her jaw tightened. "Hello." Finally a voice. To come. Finally. "I'm available. I can start tomorrow." Vanessa blinked. "Don't you want to know where?" The voice paused. "I already know the house." The line cut. That night, Michael's voice came through the phone. "You're hiring again." Vanessa leaned back against the bed frame, twirling her hair around her finger. "Yes, this one is quiet." "No problem, Vanessa." Michael's sigh rustled through the line. "The children are coming home next week. Please, Vanessa, just try to be normal." Her lip curled. "Don't lecture me. When are you coming back?" "Maybe Sunday." Her nose flared. "Stay long enough and I'll hire a maid for you too." Michael chuckled, tired. "Just don't chase this one out." The next morning, the gate bell rang at 8 a.m. Vanessa drew the blinds up. A girl in a faded yellow wrapper and white rubber slippers stood at the gate. Her hands were empty. Her eyes stared straight at the camera above the gate, unmoving. Vanessa pressed the intercom. The girl lifted her face and smiled. Vanessa's eyes stayed glued to the CCTV screen. The girl remained still, arms at her sides, eyes locked on the camera. Vanessa muttered, folding her arms. The girl stepped into the compound without hesitation. Her gaze swept over the upstairs balcony, the windows, and the front door. Vanessa waited. The girl didn't speak. "You're the maid?" Vanessa asked from the top of the stairs, silk scarf around her rollers. The girl nodded once. "Yes, please." Her voice was soft, distant. "What's your name?" "Evelyn." Her skin was pale, her face narrow, lips dry. Her eyes were calm, unreadable. Vanessa scanned her from head to toe. "You came with nothing." "I don't need much," Evelyn said quietly. Vanessa clicked her tongue. She frowned at the girl. Evelyn shook her head slightly. Good. Start now. Evelyn moved into the kitchen, picked up a mop, and began to clean. No instructions. No noise. By noon the house gleamed. Floors shone. Chandeliers dusted. Stair rails polished. Even the generator cage outside was clean. Evelyn hadn't spoken more than 10 words, hadn't hummed, hadn't shuffled her slippers. Vanessa sat on the couch, sipping a drink, scrolling her phone. Every so often, her eyes flicked to Evelyn moving silently across the tiles, bare feet making no sound. Come, Vanessa said. Evelyn walked over, hands clasped. You've done this before. Yes, madam. Where? Evelyn hesitated at several points, then said nothing. Why did you leave your last madam? She died. Vanessa froze. Died. She fell down the stairs, Evelyn said quietly. Vanessa shrugged. As long as you do your work and don't steal, we won't have a problem. Evelyn nodded once and returned to scrubbing the corridor skirting. That evening Michael called. Vanessa put him on speaker. She lay on the bed, rubbing cream on her arms. How's the new girl? He asked. Vanessa crossed her arms. Strange but effective. Strange how? She doesn't talk. No phone. No questions. She just cleans. Michael chuckled. You complain when they talk too much. Now you see quiet and still not satisfied. Vanessa frowned. She gives me weird energy. Try not to chase her away before I come back, Michael said. She scoffed. I treat her well. She doesn't need chasing. Michael said nothing. At 3 a.m., faint humming drifted through the house. Vanessa sat up, dark room around her. She grabbed her phone, turned on the flashlight, and tiptoed toward the corridor. Evelyn stood in the middle, facing the mirror, still in her yellow wrapper, humming to her reflection. The reflection moved on its own, smiling and nodding. Vanessa's heart raced. She closed the door quietly and lay back in bed, eyes wide. She didn't sleep again. The next morning, Vanessa walked lightly across the living room. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw Evelyn in the mirror, whispering to something invisible, a smile not her own. Vanessa sat on the couch in her satin robe, legs crossed, eyes sunken. Evelyn entered, tray of tea in hands, no word, no eye contact. She placed it on the center table. You take it every morning at 10 a.m.? Vanessa asked. Evelyn nodded once. Did Michael tell you that? No, madam. You told me yesterday. Vanessa said nothing, staring at her. Evelyn moved from room to room, cleaning. She polished bronze handles, wiped louver blades, swept every corner. Vanessa walked past her, hands on hips. Why are you always cleaning? Can't you sit still for once? That's what you brought me for, Evelyn said and continued. Vanessa turned away, lips tight, locked her door. She grabbed her phone, called Michael, no answer. She tried WhatsApp, but his profile and status had vanished, erased. She unfolded the photo fully. The girl in it was younger, but it was Evelyn. That night the mirrors shifted. Vanessa walked past the hallway mirror and froze. Her reflection didn't move with her. Its eyes followed late. Its smile stayed too long. She turned toward the stairs. Evelyn stood at the top watching. Vanessa, Evelyn's finger pointed. What did you put in my mirror? Vanessa stepped closer. Don't speak in riddles. Evelyn came down slowly, eyes fixed on her. Should I remove them? Vanessa stopped. Evelyn leaned close, her words soft and smoky. If I remove them, where will you hide from yourself? Vanessa's hand struck across Evelyn's cheek. The sound echoed through the house. Evelyn didn't move. She smiled, turned and walked away. Midnight. Vanessa tiptoed into the guest room. A hammer shook in her hands. She stood before the mirror, breathing hard. Her reflection blinked slowly. Lips moved in a whisper. Vanessa screamed and swung. The mirror cracked. The sound that came wasn't glass. It screeched sharp and high. From the hallway, Evelyn's voice drifted. You shouldn't have done that. Darkness swallowed the house. Vanessa locked herself inside the master bedroom. All lights on. Bible pressed to her chest. She paced, waiting for morning. Dawn came, but the house felt different. Too cold, too clean, too still. Vanessa opened the door. The hallway was empty. No broom sweeping. No humming. She searched the kitchen. Me. The living room. Me. Evelyn. Her voice cracked. Silence answered. She grabbed her phone. Dialed Michael. No signal. Her eyes fell on the mirrors. Cracks everywhere but none broken. In the guest room, a long split ran through the biggest mirror. Her reflection looked darker, slower. When she turned away, it still stared. Vanessa stumbled back, clutching her wrapper. This is not ordinary. She ran outside. The gate stood open. Sunlight touched her face after days inside. The compound looked normal, yet her chest tightened. She hurried to Naomi's house, her neighbors she had ignored for a while, and knocked. Naomi appeared, blinking. Vanessa. You're still here. Vanessa frowned. What do you mean? Naomi stepped closer, voice low. They said you left long ago. The landlord. The security. Nobody has seen Michael since last year. Vanessa's lips shook. We've been living there. Naomi's eyes searched her face. Are you all right? Vanessa turned and ran. Her gate loomed ahead. He pushed it open. The house had changed. Walls damp and moldy. Flowers dead. Curtains drawn tight. Inside, no lights, no tray on the table, no laundry, no air freshener. Only dust and silence. She whispered, Evelyn. The walls gave no reply. Vanessa climbed the stairs, each step heavy. The master bedroom door gaped open. The mirror gleamed, freshly cleaned. Her reflection smiled. On the bed lay Michael. His eyes closed, body still. She shook him. Nothing. She pressed his wrist. Cold. Her knees gave way. Sobs tore through her throat. Then she saw the carving on the wood. You opened the gate. Her hands trembled. She crawled to the hallway mirror. Inside stood Evelyn. Pale hand pressed against the glass. Vanessa lifted hers. Cold met her skin. Evelyn's mouth moved. Vanessa froze. Her fist smashed the mirror. It held, but the reflection shattered. Blood poured from her mirror self, while her real hand stayed clean. Every mirror glowed faintly. Dozens of Vanessas stared back, their smiles growing. She dashed to the front door. Locked tight. She kicked, pulled, screamed. She ran to the back. Sealed. Windows bolted. Generator dead. Phone missing. The house had closed in. In the living room, Evelyn stood. Silent. A smile curved her lips. Vanessa's apron dangled from her hand. The house sank into silence. The compound stilled. The mirrors gleamed faintly. Vanessa's breath shook in her chest. She didn't move. Evelyn didn't either. And since then, no one saw Vanessa again. She was gone. 3 months later, the landlord moved in another family into the house. Mr. Harris carried boxes, balancing them carefully. Laura lifted curtains, shaking them out before hanging them on shiny rods. Grace ran through the halls, kicking a stray ribbon, her laughter echoing off the walls. Paint cans sat stacked in the corner. Brushes dipped into pastel walls. Furniture slid across polished floors. The house smelled of lavender and baby powder. Mirrors glimmered on the walls, tall and expensive looking. The first week passed quietly. Laura hummed while cooking. Grace played in the living room, scattering toys over the carpet. But one afternoon Laura paused, hand on the counter. Grace crouched before the hallway mirror, lips moving, nodding as if answering someone unseen. Who are you talking to? Laura asked, stepping closer. Grace pointed to the reflection. The auntie in the mirror. She said she lives here now. Laura shook her head, smiling faintly. She ruffled her daughter's hair. Children and their imagination, she muttered. Night came. Mr. Harris leaned on the kitchen counter, eyebrows raised. Did you see the girl who cleaned the compound today? Laura stopped brushing a stray hair. What girl? He gestured toward the spotless floors. The girl in the yellow wrapper. I thought she was staff. Laura froze. We haven't hired anyone. They went outside. The gate clicked shut behind them. No one had come in. Still, every morning the compound gleamed. Footprints of bare feet appeared faintly in the hallway, leading nowhere. One afternoon, a woman in her mid-50s walked slowly to the gate. Her voice was soft. I used to live here. Do you still have the maid? Laura and Mr. Harris exchanged confused glances. We don't have a maid, they said. The woman smiled faintly and turned away, footsteps soft on the concrete. That night, Laura stood brushing her hair. Her hand froze mid-air. Behind her reflection in the mirror, a slim figure lingered, wrapped in yellow, lips curved in a quiet smile. Laura spun, heart racing. Nothing. Only the empty hallway. The next day, Grace ran toward the mirror again. Laura followed slowly. The reflection moved before her daughter did. Footsteps in yellow slippers echoed faintly. The air felt cold, though the sun shone outside. Laura rubbed her arms. The house smelled faintly of dust and something older, like old wood mixed with smoke. Days passed. Doors locked themselves. Lights flickered. Mirrors gleamed even in darkness. Grace giggled, pointing. Auntie's here, she whispered. Laura's stomach tightened. At night, Laura walked the halls with a candle. Shadows stretched across the walls. Bare footprints appeared in the dust behind her. She stopped at the largest hallway mirror. The figure in yellow stood still, smiling. Laura held the candle closer. The figure raised its hand. She froze. The next morning, Mr. Harris found the floors spotless. Mirrors reflected sunlight perfectly. No footprints remained. Grace sat at the breakfast table, talking to the empty air. Later that evening, the woman returned, quiet as before. She pointed at the house. Laura nodded slowly. She understood now. Some things in the house had never left. Some things had stayed waiting. Laura carried Grace upstairs. She locked the bedroom door, double-checked the windows. But even in the safety of their room, the faintest shimmer of yellow appeared in the hallway mirror. Grace slept, clutching a small doll, smiling in her dreams. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees. The mansion gleamed, perfectly clean, inviting. But those who entered learned quickly. The house had a life of its own, and its caretaker would never truly leave. Laura sat beside the mirror that night, brushing her daughter's hair. Eyes on the reflection. A faint smile of yellow lingered in the glass. The house was quiet. Too quiet. And in that quiet, the figure in yellow waited, patient and calm, holding the keys to the mansion and everything inside. Night fell. Laura closed Grace's bedroom door and checked the locks again. She pressed her back to the door, breathing fast. Grace hugged her doll tightly, eyes closed. A shadow flickered in the hallway mirror. Laura's hand trembled as she reached for the candle. A soft step creaked behind the closed door. Laura froze. The candle flickered. Light danced across the walls. The shadow in the mirror stretched, leaning closer. Yellow slipped along the hallway, silent. Laura's lips moved, whispering her daughter's name. No reply. She tiptoed to the door, ears straining. A tiny giggle floated through the air, soft and hollow. She peeked into the hallway. Bare feet pressed faintly into the polished floor. The figure in yellow stopped, head tilted, smiling. Laura grabbed Grace's hand, clutching her tightly. They ran toward the staircase. The floorboards groaned. Each step echoed through the empty house. The mirrors along the hallway reflected movement that didn't match them. Shadows darted behind reflections. The candle wavered. The front door rattled. Laura pulled hard. The back door too. Windows wouldn't budge. The wind outside whispered through the trees, pushing against the locked gates. Laura's breath came fast, heart pounding. The figure in yellow appeared at the top of the stairs, smiling, hands clasped behind her back. Slowly she stepped down. No sound. Laura froze mid-step, Grace clutching her hand. The candle fell. Flames licked the floor. Yellow moved closer, slow, calm. Laura backed up, eyes wide. Grace clutched her mother's arm. The figure raised a hand. The mirrors in the hallway reflected hundreds of tiny versions of her, all smiling. Laura screamed. She grabbed Grace and ran to the center of the living room. The mirrors glowed faintly. Yellow stopped at the edge of the light, watching. Laura tried the phone. The generator wouldn't start. Silence pressed in, heavy and cold. Suddenly, the figure in yellow vanished. A whisper slid across the walls. Laura spun. Grace tugged at her skirt. Another shadow flickered in the mirror behind them, closer now. Laura stepped back, tripped over a rug. The doorbell rang. Long, slow, insistent. Laura staggered toward the door, hand shaking, but the locks held. The gate outside swung slowly, creaking open. Cold wind rushed in. Laura clutched Grace, shivering. The mirrors all reflected the same thing. A smiling figure, yellow wrapping flowing, standing in every frame. Laura stumbled backward. Grace pressed against her chest, whispering, "Auntie!" The lights flickered once, twice, and then went out. Darkness swallowed the room. The faint scent of lavender and baby powder remained. Then silence. The next morning, neighbors found the mansion perfectly quiet. The gate was closed. Mirrors gleamed. Floors spotless. The house looked as if no one had entered. Laura and Grace were gone. The figure in yellow stood in the largest hallway mirror, calm, holding the keys to the mansion. Her smile stretched, patient and knowing. The house waited. No one moved inside. No sound. Only the quiet, and the faint shimmer of yellow in every reflection. The landlord to the mansion paced in his office, hands gripping the edge of his desk. Papers lay scattered. Contracts, keys, old invoices. He stared at the mansion on the hill through the dusty window. He called a team. Men arrived with tools, hammers, paint buckets, and heavy chains. The front gate was reinforced with steel. Windows were barred. Every mirror in the hallways was covered with black cloth. He nailed thick boards over doors. He walked room by room, checking locks. Floors were scrubbed, but mirrors stayed hidden beneath layers of fabric. Candles were stacked in cupboards, unused. The mansion smelled of fresh paint and wax, masking the old scents of lavender and baby powder. He climbed the stairs slowly. Each step echoed. The hallway mirrors shivered faintly beneath the coverings. He paused, shivering, then covered the last one. Outside, the security guards stood silently. No one approached. The mansion looked abandoned but intact. The gates clanged shut. At night, the landlord sat by the window, staring at the house. The lights inside never flickered, and no sound came from the sealed halls. Yet, he swore he saw shadows in the covered mirrors, moving on their own. He left signs. No entry. Private property. Large warning boards lined the driveway. And still, the mansion waited quietly, patient and calm. I hope you enjoyed the story. Leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting stories and comment below to share your thoughts. See you in the next video.